What is the difference between murder and attempted murder? If somebody's charged with attempted murder, like let's say that we get a case, we get a call, and the person's calling on their behalf and saying, this is my son, or this is my husband, or this is somebody, and they're in jail. They're charged with attempted murder. That means that they have been charged with a crime, a felony. I think in South Carolina it carries up to 30 years in prison, and where they are accused of trying to kill somebody. In other words, they used some kind of deadly force. They had a specific intent to kill. They acted with what's called malice, and they tried to do it, only the person didn't die. Okay? So the only difference between the elements of proof for attempted murder versus murder is the person survived it. You could have a situation where somebody was shot, maybe shot multiple times, but they lived, and this happens. Sometimes people are shot and you think there's no way a person would have survived that, but they lived for whatever reason. So that's attempted murder. Sometimes we get a case, and so it's attempted murder. We're looking at it because we want to have the bond hearing, and we want to do certain things to get the person out. And if it's a murder, the bond in South Carolina is far more complicated and takes longer, and there's more moving parts to that. So we're looking at it because if they're charged with attempted murder and then the person's in the hospital and the person then dies, and that could be before or after you got out of jail, the person dies, then they're just changing the charge to murder. So the only difference between attempted murder and murder is, did the person die? And in South Carolina, they could have died, I think it's up to a year later. So in other words, if I put you in the hospital and then you later die from the injuries that I am accused of inflicting upon you, you later die. It could be a month later. I think it could be up to a year later. Then you could legally be charged with murder. So attempted murder, the victim survives. Murder, the person is dead and passed away.